it doesn't have a RAM, or it's not the proper machine. But apart from that, there are other issues related to settings in the SolidWorks which can slow down your system. By system, I mean the SolidWorks. And also, when we are going to talk about those options, those options are also going to help when we are using a low grade system or a system that is not capable to run SolidWorks, but still we have to use that system for running SolidWorks. So before we go further into the presentation, let me just give you a brief intro about myself. I'm based in India. A lot of people have asked me like if I'm based outside India, but I just wanted to clarify that I'm based in India, and I've been working in India itself. I'm a SolidWorks expert and a champion. I'm learning SolidWorks since 2005, and I'm still learning. There are a lot of new things that comes up, and there are a lot of options and tools inside the SolidWorks that I'm still learning. I'm one of the community award winner for Michel Pillars. It's given to every year for one member of the SWUGN. It can be anyone. It doesn't have to be leader, or she can be anyone. I work with a lot of companies and SolidWorks users around the world. I help them with their design, drafting, and automation needs, and that's how I earn my bread. That's a quick picture of the award. Let's talk agenda for today. Well, as I said, like we will be discussing some tips and tricks to speed up your SolidWorks for your daily need. These will be related to systems and document options inside the SolidWorks. So we will be going through how turning some option on or turning some option off will help us speed up SolidWorks. Before you proceed, like after this presentation, and before you proceed to change any of your settings or mess with any of your setting, I would strongly advise to make a backup copy of your settings using the SolidWorks copy setting wizard. That's the initial window. You can find this particular toolbar inside SolidWorks tools, save, restore, settings. You have to make sure that all files are closed before you can use this tool. And not only you can save, restore your settings, you can also share your setting from one machine to several machines. For example, if you are admin of your department and you want to make sure that everyone uses the same setting, so you can use this tool, make settings on one system, and then you can share it across multiple systems. You can also find it on the start button, all programs, SolidWorks and SolidWorks tools. So let's see quickly inside the SolidWorks where you can find the setting. So you make sure the files are closed. You go to tool, save, restore setting, and then you can click on the next button. You select what kind of settings you want to save, and then you click on finish. So you will be prompted with a message that yes, SolidWorks settings have been saved. Okay, so let's talk of our first option. This option is called show latest technical alerts and news in the welcome dialog box. Earlier, it used to be on the task pane, which is on your right side, but now it has been moved to the dialog box. You can find this option under Journal, show latest technical alert and news in the welcome dialog box. And this is the welcome dialog box that you see when you start SolidWorks. So let's quickly see it on SolidWorks. So I press F2, Control F2 to show this welcome dialog box, and these are the technical alerts you usually see when you run SolidWorks. Now, how this unchecking this option helps? Well, to get the alerts, of course, you need to be connected to the internet. And once you launch your SolidWorks, and if you have the option checked, so SolidWorks will connect to the internet. It will fetch the latest technical alerts or the feeds, and it will show onto the system. So in doing that, uh, your SolidWorks may run slow initially at the time of start because it is trying to get the details from the server, and depending upon your internet speed, so you may get this technical alerts or news fast or slow, but eventually it will affect your SolidWorks starting time. So I always prefer to keep it off. You can find the option under, you can go to options, journal, and uncheck this option. Next one on the list is show content while dragging views. Now, what exactly is this option? So when you drag a view, so the complete geometry of the view is visible, whatever component is there in that view, and which means SolidWorks has to use some graphics to show that geometry while you are dragging that view. And when you take this option off, so no graphics will be required to show the geometry while you are dragging that view. So let's see it quickly. So right now I have the option turned on just to show you. So now you can see while we are dragging the views, the complete geometry is visible. Now let's turn it off. So I go to, again, options, then I go to drawing, performance, and I will uncheck this option. Now let's see. So until unless you place your view on the desired location, so geometry will not be visible. Now using this, the requirement for the graphics will be reduced, and of course you will see a little boost while working with the drawings. The next one is allow update or auto update when opening drawings. Now what exactly this means is like you have an assembly or you have a part or a component and you made some changes. Now when you open the drawing for that component or that assembly or that part, what SolidWorks will do is like it will rebuild the drawing or it will update the drawing because the geometry has been changed, maybe some dimension or the mate, or maybe a feature has been removed or added. So the geometry will be updated, and it will take some time for the drawing to open up. When you don't have this option checked, SolidWorks will prompt you that do you want to update. So if you click no, it will not update the view, and that means your drawings will be opening fasteners. So let's see one of such drawing. So in this assembly, I had made some changes in the assembly, and now let's open the drawing. So you can see that I say yes, and then only it will update. Otherwise, if I say no, so let me just close it and open it again, and I say no. So it shares the view to make sure or to signifies or to prompt you that the view needs a rebuild. So once I do a rebuild, only then it will update the drawing. So let me just close it off. The next one is anti-aliasing tool, option. So what this option does, first of all, so when we have sketches or when we have edges in the models, uh, so with this option, it does is like it tries to refine the edges to give us a more crisp look. But doing that, it is consuming a lot of graphics in the background. So what is preferable is, until unless you want to show the final model to someone or take a quick snap picture to send it to someone, it's always good to set it to none. So you can see the difference on the bottom picture. The option is cleared, and you can see there is more jagged lines. And if you look on the top picture, you can see more crisp lines. So let's quickly see the part. So you can see the edges are more refined or fine. So we will turn this option off. We'll go to tools option. We'll go to display. I will set it to none. And now you can see the the edges are not that crisp. Sorry. You can see that those are jagged. So again, this will help us to reduce the graphic usage for the components. The next one is highlighting of all the edges. So with this option ticked on, if you click on any feature uh, in the graphics area, so what SolidWorks does is like SolidWorks is going to highlight all the edges of that feature, which means it's going to consume more graphics. So as the picture says, I clicked on the face on the top, which is one of the extrude feature. And when the option is selected, it's going to highlight all the edges. And when the option is checked, it just select, or it just highlights the area we have used. So let's see with the option on. So you can see all the edges have been highlighted, which is of no use to us. So we will turn this option off. We'll go to options, display, and we will highlight all edges. So we'll go, okay. Now it has only highlighted the face we have selected, which means it doesn't need more graphics to highlight all the other edges. The next one is verification on rebuild. This option is usually used when you are working with complex geometries, or there are geometry where there are organic features and you want to make sure that during after the rebuild there is no error. But until unless you want to do that, it's always good to uncheck this option, which means the model rebuilding time will be reduced. So you can find this option under the performance tab in the system option, and you can uncheck this option. The next one is transparency option. You can find this particular option under the performance. Now we have two options under the transparency. One is high quality for normal mode, and one is high quality for dynamic mode. When we say normal mode, it means the transparency is high, or the quality of transparency is high when our model is not moving. And uh, the high quality for dynamic mode is when we are moving our model around and still we want a higher transparency. So until unless you have a definite need for the high quality transparency, it's always good to keep both the option turned off. Let's look at quickly one of the model. So you can see that The transparency for some of the components is not that good. Let's, I will check both the options on, and now you can see the transparency has been changed to a better quality, or again, it depends on the kind of graphics card you have. My machine doesn't have a graphics card. I burned it out a few days back. I'm still waiting for the spare, but you can see that even rotating, the quality is maintained, which means a lot of graphics is being consumed either in the normal mode or in the dynamic mode, which is not required. So it's good to turn this option off. So we will turn both the option off. So we have like a normal or uh, low quality in the transparency. Next one is again similar to this option. It's called level of detail. So basically it's related to models where you have complex detail or where you have too much of detail. So when you have the option set to a higher level, right, more graphics is being consumed to show those details. So and again, unless you have a requirement where you want to show a too high level of detail, it's always good to keep this option to lower side or to off. The only disadvantage of turning it to a lower side or to off is that the model starts to look bulky or blocky when you rotate or zoom the models or you pan the model. So instead of like looking at it, if I talk of cylindrical parts, so they will look like uh, kind of a cuboid or cube or similar shape. You can find this option again under the performance tab. Let's look at the model to see how this option uh, helps in reducing the graphics usage. So right now I have turned the options to a higher side. So when I rotate the model or when I zoom the model, so I can still see the graphics intact or the shapes intact as it is, which means in the background SolidWorks has to consume a lot of graphics to show this model. We'll go to options, we'll go to performance, and I will make it say to the lesser side. Now, can you spot the difference? These details, these details, these details, these details. So when we rotate the model, so since we have uh, reduced the level of details we need, SolidWorks automatically turns them into a block to show the model or regenerate the model, and the model is finally regenerated once we stop rotating it or moving it. Like I said, again, these help in reducing the graphic usage, and model rebuilding or the regenerating time would increase. The next one is assembly setting under performance. So it's always good to set them wisely. Like for me, I always prefer my assembly to load the components lightweight. So instead of me going to open menu and setting light design mode or lightweight mode, I always prefer my assemblies to open them in lightweight mode. I don't want my sub assemblies to resolve for lightweight components if they are out of date, which means they need rebuilding or they needs to be updated. Uh, I want SolidWorks to indicate me. and if it wants to resolve or rebuild assemblies on loading, means on opening, it should prompt me. So, so using these options, your assemblies will open up much faster as compared to setting these options to other side, like where you want to make your lightweight component to resolve, your assemblies to rebuild, and you don't want your components to open lightweight. So you can uncheck these. You can set these options based on your need, and your assemblies will open up faster and less graphics would be required. This one is one of my favorite. It's called Mate Animation Speed. I know a lot of users love animation, but again, when we talk of animation during the assembly stage or during the model building stage, uh, so keeping it to a slow side uh, basically consumes a lot of graphics and of course the time. You can find this option again under the performance. And let's see what effect it has when we keep it on the slow mode and when we keep it on the fast or the off mode. So I have one the simple example over here, and let's apply a quick mate between this and this. So animation, it was looking good in terms of the animation, but look at the time when you work with complex assemblies or bigger assemblies. And so think of the graphics and the time SolidWorks is going to consume to do the task, which can be done at like very less time. So let's undo it. I will go to tools, option, performance, and I will make it fast or better off. So again, we will add the same mate. So it has become fast. Now let's go to save and I will turn it off completely. So you can see the difference between the slow, fast, and it's preferably to keep it off because that's the kind of animation you may not want to show it to anyone or even yourself. So it's always good to keep this option off. Oops, sorry. Ah, let me just quickly start it. So before we move on to the next one, I would like to know like how many people are familiar with the configuration, or how many users use configurations on daily basis, or maybe they use configurations. So just in the chat box, or if someone can type, that would be great. Anyone from the online people? Okay, sometimes not frequently. Pranav says, Amrit says 4 people. May I know the reason like why we don't use configurations? Like these are really helpful tools, especially when we have a similar design, but for example, a screw. So we have same M8 screws, and instead of like creating different parts for a different length, we just create one part with configuration with a different length. Okay, Amrit says not that much familiar. Okay, so after I would strongly advise to get familiar with configuration, or you can ask your resellers, support tech team to walk you through the configurations, because these are really good tool to be used inside SolidWorks. Okay, let's talk of the options. So the option says purge uh, cache configuration data. So basically, this with the option checked, this help you to reduce the file size and the time it requires to save the file. And this is very helpful when you deal with a lot of configurations. So basically, what it does is like it pulls the cache data of the configuration. You can find this option under the performance. This is another of my favorite one, the shaded preview. Again, this option is under the performance tab. And before we jump on to how to see like how what exactly the command is all about or this option is all about, like how many people prefer to have a shaded preview when they say, for example, they do a extrude of their sketches. Like you want a preview to make sure that yes, everything is looking good. Yellow filled box is there, which shows you the preview showing, okay, this is how 3D gonna look like uh, once you finish the extrude command. No one? Strange. Okay, no problem. Uh, so basically, is when we talk of shaded preview, and when, for example, when we have a simple bar, when we do the extrude command or cut extrude or revolve, so you see a yellowish kind of a box uh, as a preview to give you an idea like how the extrude or how that feature is going to look like. The only difference between this option checked and unchecked is like when the option is checked, the complete box is filled with a yellow color, which means the graphics is consumed. And when this option is ticked, it just highlights the boundary, which means lesser amount of graphics is used. I'm not saying that no graphics will be used, but very less amount of graphics will be used. So let's see at the option quickly. So, as you can see, the complete yellowish box is over there, which means SolidWorks has to use a lot of graphics to do that. I will turn this option. Let's turn this option off. So we go to options, performance, and I'll say use shaded data, uncheck. Okay. You might see some of the option which have been turned on or off in the system is just to show you or walk you through those options. Now let's do that extrude again. So now you can see only the graphics for the boundary showing, highlighting the boundaries there, and the rest is all unfilled, which means lesser graphics has to be used by the SolidWorks to display the preview. I will turn it off and we'll go to the next one. Okay, how many of you works with large assemblies? Typically, large assembly may be like 500 or 500 plus components. Anyone working with large assemblies? Okay, no one. Okay, no problem. Well, there is a specifically setting for a large assembly or under the assemblies tab. So it's always good to explore these settings and see how you can reduce or you can let SolidWorks reduce the amount of graphics or the time it would need to open up a large assembly or a big assemblies, you can say. So This is a setting I always prefer to have, that like we discussed about the lightweight component, and again there is a lightweight mode and large assembly settings. When I say my number of components, the total number of component in any assembly exceeds 500, so it will automatically uh, trigger the large assembly settings, which is over here. And if the components exceeds say more than 5,000, you can set any number you want over there. So it will automatically go to a large design review, like, where it displays the graphical representation of the assembly. So using this option, the assemblies will open up faster, less graphics will be used, and of course, time will be saved. Next one is dynamic highlight. What this option does is, like, when you click on a feature, uh, or not click on the feature, when you take your pointer to a feature in the feature manager tree, so it will display, or it will highlight all the edges of that geometry. So not particular feature, but all the geometries will be highlighted. You can find this option under the feature manager. Let's look at one of the example. So you can see it has highlighted all the edges without clicking on it. I'm just taking my pointer to it, and it has highlighted all the edges in the orangish. So when you have a lower graphics card, or your machine doesn't have a good graphics card, even the not the onboard one is also a basic one, the RAM is not good. So SolidWorks team will take much more time to display and highlight each and every edge of that geometry. So let's turn this option off. I go to options, feature manager, and I will uncheck dynamic highlight. Okay. Now, until unless now I select it, it will not highlight those edges. Next is transparent feature manager. Again, when we use this transparent feature manager, it consumes graphics. So unless you have a need, it's always good to keep this option off. Let's take a quick example. Right now, I have set the options to on to show you. I will start a make command, and you can see, sorry, that because my flyout manager is transparent, the complete geometry of the part or the component is visible. So which means SolidWorks needs to use graphics over there in that particular area in making the feature manager tree transparent. Now let's turn this option off. I will go to tools, options, feature manager, and I will uncheck this option. Okay. And now let's look at it. So now it doesn't need to use any, or needs to use lesser graphics over there in this area, until unless I click on the part or the component, it doesn't highlight anything over there. So lesser amount of graphics will be used when we have this option turned off. This is again one of my favorite. It's called transitions, and usually people prefer to keep it on the slow mode, because they love how the component transit from one view to a different view, or when they show high components, it's again look like a kind of an animation. You can find this option under the view menu, or sorry, the view tab. Let's look at one of the example. So I will just open up this assembly and you can see. So you can see that to get into the view I need, it has consumed some of the graphics over there because the animation was there. So let's turn this option off. So I usually prefer it to keep it off, all of these. And now look at it again. So it opened up quickly, much faster. And if I change it to a different view, it is much faster. But if we keep the option on, or maybe to the slow side or close to the fast, there would be some graphics used, and of course some time will be used to get into that view. Indexing. So indexing is basically setting up your files so that once you need them or when you search for them, SolidWorks can easily find them. So if you use a search button inside the SolidWorks, or I mean, if you use the search inside the SolidWorks uh, and you do the indexing, then it's always good to do the indexing when your computer is idle. If you say always index, so this will slow down your computer or the SolidWorks, because the SolidWorks is building your model on one side, and in the parallel or in the background, it is also trying to index that file as well. So this means uh, graphics will be used, your RAM will be used, and of course that will slow down your system. So if you use search in the SolidWorks, always set the indexing when your computer is idle. This is again one of a favorite one. It says the image quality. So basically, uh, it is related to graphics again. So image quality is something like when we look at the files and we do not want a higher quality image unless we want to take a picture or we want to show it to someone on a bigger screen. It's always good to keep the image quality on the lower side, which means our models will regenerate faster. Uh, Less graphics will be used by the SolidWorks, and you can also set this option inside the model template so that when you make a new files, all settings will be saved. So this is where you find this option on. Let's look at one of the example. So right now I have kept the option to higher side. So, but you can see the model is being blocky because we have turned the option, other option on, off. So let me just change that under the performance first. I will make it more, for example. And when we go to tools, document properties, and image quality. So I have kept it to the lower side. So when we keep it on the higher side, our system, I mean the SolidWorks will be slow, but when we make it to the lower side, so you can see this circle indicates over there, right? It is being turned into a polygon, but when we make it to the higher side, it is being refined. A number of lines increases, giving us a better quality picture, but that's what not we need. So with the level of quality on the downside, like you can see like how many details are over there. So with the level of quality on the downside, it will help us to work with our model in much easier way. And once you are finished and you want to show someone the finished model, you can always move it on the higher side to show, but it's always good to keep it on the lower side so that SolidWorks uses less amount of graphics card. Edges off in the shaded mode. I know a lot of users love to work with the edges on mode in the shaded view because that looks good to our eyes and it makes it little easier to work when the edges are on. But on the downside, when we have the edges on, it can account up to 50% of the cost per frame in the display. So which means like whenever there are frame changes, when you are rotating the model or when you are zooming or panning the model, so every frame, if we have the edges on, will consume more graphics. So let's look at what exactly it means. So right now I have the edges on, which means apart from using the graphics for displaying the shaded mode, SolidWorks also has to display each and every edge. So if I turn it off from here, just the shaded mode. So now SolidWorks doesn't need to use the graphics to highlight those edges, which means lesser amount of graphics will be used and less time will be required by the SolidWorks to regenerate the model. I know on a complex geometry or on a geometry where uh, there are a lot of features, it might not be easier to work with that model. But what you can do is like when you are saving that file, always turn it to a shaded mode without edges. You save this file and close, and when you open next time, SolidWorks will open the file much faster as compared when you have the shaded on. Okay, before I move on to the next one, so who is familiar with shortcuts? Who is familiar with using shortcuts, or like who is using shortcuts? Shortcuts in any form. No one uses shortcut. That's strange. Okay, Pranav says keyboard shortcut mostly. Good to hear. Anyone else? Okay. Let's, so the first one shortcut I'm talking about is the S key, right? S key is basically when you press S on the keyboard inside the SolidWorks, a toolbar will open up depending on which mode you are into. Either you are into part mode, assembly mode, drawing mode, or sketching mode. So based on that, it will show you a toolbar which you can use quickly. So instead of going to the tools menu or the toolbars on the command manager, you can just press key and just near to your pointer, you will see the toolbar open up. You can always customize the toolbar. Let's take a look, a quick look. I will just open up, say, one of the files. So right now I'm in the drawing mode. I will press S and you can see that. So instead of going for the tables tools and then finding insert tables and general table over here, I can just press on the S key, or even if I have to make a projected view, I can just click on the S key, select the view, the projected view, and there you go. Even if I open up the assembly, so since I'm in assembly right now, so the toolbar will be shown based on the assembly. Like I can do the mates, for example, and if I'm in the part mode, it will show me the feature related to the part. So these can be customized. You can go to customize menu, and then you can go to the shortcut bar, and then you can customize over here. You can simply say drag and drop over there. So you can customize it for all of your needs. So part assembly and drawing as well as sketching. So the features which you use on a regular basis or frequently, you can assign them to the shortcut bars, and I mean like the S shortcut bar. So which will help you in reducing your time to finding the options over there, and the less amount of clicks will be required. The next one is context toolbar. So this is something when you click on a view or on assembly component or on a geometry, it will highlight you again. It is similar to the S key bar. Uh, but it appears when you click on something. So you can find it again in the customized view, customized tab. You have to make sure that the context toolbar is selected to show. So basically, when you click on a face, right, depending on the kind of environment you are into, so if you are into a part, it will show you related to that feature in the part. If you are in assembly, it will show you related to the assembly components in the part. And if you are in the drawing mode, it will show you related to the drawing views or the drawing uh, environment. Next one is mouse gesture. Uh, Anyone using mouse gestures? Oh, good. I already see Raj. Good to hear that you are using mouse gestures. So, how many mouse gestures you use? Like currently, there are 12 for each environment. So, how many you use? Okay, he says four. Good to hear that at least. Okay, six. Okay. So we have four type of mouse gestures. Again, one for the part, then assembly, drawing, and sketch. So you can again you can set your toolbar, or sorry, your mouse gesture should to show. Let's take a quick look. I will again say open up a drawing. Now customize mouse gestures. So you can set it up to 12 commands uh, per gesture like I have in the drawing. So let's look at it. So basically, I just have to rotate my mouse, and I just have to press right button and slightly drag, and the mouse gesture will appear, and then we can set up more shortcut commands over there. So first we can set it on the S toolbar, second could be the context toolbar, and then you have the mouse gestures. So you can set, say, okay, I want to take a section quick view. Sorry. Why it is not showing? Because my assembly is not updated. So let me just update my assembly now. So using uh, the mouse gesture again, you can speed up uh, your commands clicking and command selections, and your, of course, your productivity will increase. The next one is keyboard shortcuts. I heard like few people already said that they are using keyboard shortcuts. So you can again set them under the customize tab. While I was searching for something, I found a keyboard labels specifically made for SolidWorks from 4keyboard.com. So this is how it looks like. So you can paste it on your keyboard. So that means you doesn't have to remember, or you can use them for a quick access. It's available on the Amazon if someone wants to buy. And recently, 3D Connection also launched one of their keyboard, which can be uh, set, or I mean, like the shortcuts can be set based on the application dependent. So if you are using it on the Word, you can set the shortcuts to behave in the as per the Word file or MS Office. And if you're working with the CAD software, so shortcuts can be assigned to a different keys or functions inside the CAD tool. Okay, how many of you have heard of macros or are using them? Anyone heard of macros or using them? Okay, Raj has heard. That's good. Okay, Pranav, not used. Anyone from the audience who are there uh, physically present? Okay, I and what it would done. Okay, so the next two slides will be related to macros. So basically, I always advise users to use macros uh, to automate their daily work and repeated task, which is going to save a lot of time and of course the mistakes. And there are a lot of sites that offers free SolidWorks macros. But what exactly is macro? Macro is nothing but it is a script which when executed will do the task which is programmed into it. Sometimes for some of the macros, some user input is required, and for some of the macros, uh, all programmed activity will be done. Even when you are using something in the Windows, like you are opening up a file, or you are doing extrude command, or you are if I talk of MS Office, so if you are starting a new Excel file or the Word file, so some script is going on the background, and what you see on the screen is the user interface. So, but on the background, some code is going on. So those codes or the scripts can be named as macros. And so, what or where you can use the macros? Some of the tasks, like you want to say you have 100 of drawings and you want to save PDF of all the drawings in a specified folder. So what you will do is, like, you will open up all the drawings one by one, file, save as. You will select the location, you will select the type PDF, save, then you close the file, open up the next file. So take example that saving one file takes approximately 1 minute, or maybe let's assume 1 minute. So when we talk of 100 files, so we are consuming 100 minutes, and that 100 minute doesn't account to our productivity, because again it's a repeated task and it's a waste of time. So instead of doing that task manually, you can use a macro to just click once. So what macro will do, it will open up each file automatically. It will save the file as PDF in the desired location. It will close the file and move on to the next one. So those 100 minutes which you have wasted, the macro will consume, say, depending on the complexity of the drawing, say maybe 2 to 10 minutes to complete all the drawings. Then if you want to save each sheet as a separate PDF, say you have one drawing where you have drawings for, like, say 5 components, and you have 10 such drawing. So which means you have to create 50 PDFs. So again, if I talk of, say, 1 minute per sheet, so we are talking about 50 minutes, but using the macro, you can do that task very fast. A lot of manufacturers or the shop people prefer to have a DWG or DXF of the drawings because they prefer those reading those drawing rather than a 3D model. So again, you can use a macro to automate exporting DWG DXF, especially for the sheet metal components. The shop floor guy or the manufacturer will request for a flat pattern so that he can just work out the blank size and everything. So again, you can use a macro to do that. A lot of people or a lot of the users or the manufacturer doesn't have SolidWorks, or they have lower version of the SolidWorks, or they are using a different CAD system. So again, you can use a macro to quickly save files in different formats like step, solid, IES. These are very, very basic or very few examples or the task where you can utilize macros, but there are a lot of tasks uh, where you can use the macros to a great extent. Now, I'm sure like you would love to know like how we can explore this on more. So there are some resources to learn SolidWorks API. Some of them are free and some of them are paid. So the first one is the API books, some macros and utility by Luke Malpass. Like these books were originally paid, but a few years back he released this book free of cost to everyone. So you can go to this link and you can download the books, some utilities and macros as a bundle, and you can use it. The next one is cadsharp.com. It's a US-based site, and they provide free and paid video trainings for learning VBA in the SolidWorks, and they have a huge macro libraries available as well. Some of which is free to public, and then some of is already available. Oh, sorry, only available to the members. The next one is codestack.net. Ultimately, Amrit, can you please make me the presenter again? Okay, thank you. Okay, so next one on the list is Adam. He's a great guy, and uh, he shares a lot of free SolidWorks macros. He called them goodies. So you can visit his site at codestack.net, and you will find a lot of learning resources over there. Next one is Lenny's work. He's again one of long-time users in SolidWorks, and he has created a lot of free macros which are available on his site. Those macros were created in older versions of the SolidWorks, but still they work really well, uh, even in the latest version of the SolidWorks. Uh, and if required, you can always do some tweaking over there. You can find a lot of free SolidWorks goodies on Roland's site. So there are a lot of good tools over there which you can find. You can also visit catform.net, and there is a library of SolidWorks macros which have been shared by the users, either made by them or they found it somewhere on the internet and they have shared it over there. 3D Content Central, this is the site which is run by the SolidWorks itself, and you can find a lot of 3D models over there. But apart from 3D model, you will find a lot of good macros over there as well. Then if you want to learn something like Solid API is also a learning resource where you will find some tips and tricks. swtools.cat.de. This site is in German, but you will find a lot of good macros over there which are available in English as well. So other than macros, there are some other tools which is available inside the SolidWorks. I should say available with every suite of SolidWorks. So uh, let's talk of them. So you can always use those tools to automate your design, creating similar type of design projects. So instead of like starting a design or a project from scratch, you can use these tools to create a copy of your design with the change design. So first one is the DriveWorks Express. It's a free add-in available with SolidWorks since 2008. For example, if I have a design of a chair and I want to do a chair which is bigger in size, but the overall design is same, I can use DriveWorks Express to create the changed model with a different shape, and you can set up the user form as you want, and just on the clicks on the button, and you give the inputs like the dimensions you want or some of the features you want. So completely new models will be created by the DriveWorks inside SolidWorks. So if you have not explored DriveWorks Express, I would strongly advise you to check out the examples inside the SolidWorks, or you can also visit the DriveWorks Express website and download some examples from there. Design table is basically in Excel-driven tables inside the SolidWorks, in which you can use the Excel formulas to design to drive your design and the configuration. So you can use a lot of formulas inside the design table. Even you can drive your complete assembly from one single design table where you are just inputting the required values and the complete assembly rebuilds based on the given values of the inputs. This is again, then next one is the configuration publisher. So you can use a drop-down driven form with Excel table to create a new configuration on the fly, similar to toolbox components. So when you drag drop a toolbox component in assembly, you get a user form where you select the size, the dimension, the length, and everything. So for your normal components, you can create this configuration publisher, where you select your options and a new configuration is created into that component on the fly. Okay, how many of you clean your system? No one cleans their system? Wow. Anyone who cleans his or her system? Cleaning in any way, like especially not from the outside, but cleaning from the inside. Cleaning from the inside. We are not talking of the dust, but we are talking of the garbage which goes inside the system. Okay, good. So what happens is, like, when we do not clean our system over a longer period of time, not only SolidWorks but also the system tends to go very slow. So, and it also affects the applications which are installed in it. So one of them is SolidWorks Office or other CADs also. So when we talk of cleaning of our system, we are talking of removing the temporary file. We are talking of cleaning the backup directories, the backup files, uh, the cache files which are not required after some time of or some period of time. Now, how SolidWorks helps us in doing the cleaning? It's a modeling software, it's a drafting software, but how does it does the cleaning? So SolidWorks has a tool called SolidWorks RX, which you can use to clean your system or to do a system maintenance. So once you run the tool, you can find the tool on the start menu. Just put SolidWorks RX over there, and you can see the tool. So this is how the tool will look like. Go to the system maintenance tab and check the options where you want the SolidWorks to do the cleaning. And once you have set up everything, just click on start maintenance, and SolidWorks will remove a lot of the garbage from the system. uh, I remember, like, 14, 15 years back, I was at a customer end, uh, and he complained that he has only SolidWorks installed in his system, but his system still runs slow. So I asked him the same thing: did you clean your system, or when was the last time you cleaned your system? He said, like, I clean it every day. He took out his duster and see, this is the duster I use and to clean my system. And but how does this relates to SolidWorks? And then I told him that I'm not talking of cleaning the system from the outside, but I'm talking the cleaning from the system from the inside. And I showed him this tool, and you won't believe that we almost cleaned up 15 to 16 GB of garbage, which was there in form of temporary files, the temporary internet file, the directories, the SolidWorks backup files, or the SolidWorks directories. Again, the temporary files. We cleaned from his system, and not only his overall system, but SolidWorks started to run really fast, or the way he was looking at. Then I advised him to at least use once a week to clean his system, maybe at the end of the week, or if he's not able to do once a week, he can do it once a bi-weekly. So I told him to make a calendar to make sure that on 15th and 30th of every month he should clean his system, and he was really happy with that. So I also advise you to use this tool, and not only for system maintenance, but if you want to uh, diagnose your system, that if your system has any kind of issues or it needs any kind of improvement, you can use this tool. Also, to report issues in your system, you can also go to the problem capture tab and uh, capture the issue you are facing, and you can send those files to your reseller. Do not post them online, because when you do a problem capture, your SolidWorks serial number and other details are being captured on in these files, which are actually required by the support team to diagnose the issue. So if you want to send it to your reseller, that is fine. But if you are sending it to someone or posting it online, so make sure to remove those uh, serial numbers or email IDs or other information uh, from those files before you share it to someone else. Okay, so that brings us to almost to the end of the presentation. So before we wrap up, any questions, comments, or feedback? Anyone having any questions? Okay, thank you, Amrit. Any questions from the online audience? Okay,
Sir, some gathering is asking for the links that you have shown for the API.
Okay, yeah, okay. I will send it across to Amrit and
Sure, sir. I will circulate.
yeah. Vivek, you can type the SolidWorks RX on the start menu, and you will see the RX based on the version you have installed in your in your system. So simply type SolidWorks RX on the search or the start menu. I can be found on some of the social media with the handle of Gupta 9665. So if you want to search it out, so these are some of the social media platform where you can find me out. Thank you everyone for giving your time for this presentation, and I hope the option which we have discussed, you will definitely look into those options, and you will see how those options can help you to speed up your SolidWorks and of course your productivity. And just if you still want to ask something, you can always reach out to me on my email ID or through any of the social media. With that, I will hand it over back you to Amrit.
Okay. So as we discussed, सेशन होगा, उसके बाद में कुछ क्वेश्चंस आंसर होंगे, उसके बेसिस पे सॉलिडवर्क्स के कुछ गुडीज आप में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किए जाएंगे. So basically first question is, what is the easiest way to save or share your settings? Anyone? Which one? No. So answer is SolidWorks copy setting wizard. Second question, what is one of the disadvantages of using level of detail option? Okay, let's check the answer. Laggy performance. Framework slow. Basically, that means what you have said. Okay. Which free design automation is available with every sheet of SolidWorks? No. Yes, sir. Yes, dry work is the answer. Dry
Should
work
be Driveworks
expert.
Express. Driveworks Express.
Can we save image quality option to template files? Okay. Yeah, answer is yes. What is one of the advantage of using shaded mode option? Okay, let's check the answer. Yeah, faster graphic updates. Please. What's your name? Okay. These were 5 quiz questions for today's session. Okay. As we discussed, 3D Experience World 2022. It is going to happen in February 6 to 9. Physical event will be in Atlanta, and it will be hybrid based event, so it will be virtual also. And there will be a you can register for the event on 3D Experience World 2022 site. If you need any help regarding the same, you can get in touch with me. There is a discount for student, like I think it is $50 cost or something like that. I have do not have exactly idea, but you can register as a student or as a designer, anything you want. Or I will be having a coupon code for special discount, so you can contact me. Okay. So this is the basically we are launching a logo design contest for all the members of SolidWorks user group, or if you are not the member, then also you can participate in it. So basically you have to design a logo for Jodhpur SolidWorks user group network. 3 things it should be communicate, like name Jodhpur SolidWorks user group network. You can make a short form JS or JSW, but we would be whichever suits you or whichever suits your design. Secondly, it should be communicate your CAD designing, and third, it also communicate product designing. Target audience, basically it should be attracting to user group members and new audience, so they can get we can get more membership towards the user group. Color, any color you can choose, but if it will be in red and white, then it will be best. But any color combination you can choose according to any style you can choose. But if your logo will be more logo will be preferred if it can be 3D printed. So if your logo is possible to 3D print, if you making it in SolidWorks itself, it would be great. So we will be printing that 3D logo. Deadline basically 14 Jan 22 है, almost 16 to 15-16 days है आपके पास. उस टाइप कर दीजिए. और कहाँ पे भेजना है? jodhpurswag@gmail.com पर आपको अपनी डिजाइन भेजनी है. यदि वो सिलेक्ट होती है तो आपको एक 1000 रुपीज वर्थ का अमेजोन गिफ्ट कार्ड मिलेगा, जिसे आप अमेजोन पे यूज कर सकते हैं. 1000 रुपीज. कुछ भी डाउट है, क्वेरी है, मेरे नंबर है, उस पर आप कॉन्टेक्ट कर सकते हैं, आपको डिटेल्स मिल जाएगी. So you can contact me on LinkedIn using Amritlal, Jodhpur SolidWorks page on Meetup, jodhpurswag@gmail.com. These are my contact details, and we have Jodhpur SolidWorks user group, Jodhpur Swag YouTube channel. So recording of this session will be published there, and you can find it there also. Any query? So thank you everyone. Have a great year ahead. Happy holidays. So here we sums up. Thank you everyone for joining.